I really hope you can see my face. As you can see, I'm outside. I actually tried to record this a little earlier, but there was just way too much traffic. There's still some traffic. Where the studio is located is on a main road, so even though it's kind of late, there is still quite a bit of traffic. But either way, I hope you enjoy the fire at least. This is one of my favorite ways to ground. Doing a fire is one of my favorite pastimes. I've come to be really good at not just starting the fire, but maintaining it, and yeah, I don't know. I know the structure. Anywho's, part of the reason why I wanted to do a fire today, aside from it being a very nice night, weather-wise, it's not the perfect night for a fire is when it's not too windy. But aside from that, tonight the moon appears full. Technically, the full moon is tomorrow, which is Wednesday, November 5th, at about 8 a.m. That's when it reaches its peak. So tonight it appears full, but it's technically not completely full. Either way, I recognize it as the full moon. And it's a full moon in Taurus. So the themes are surrounding stability, what grounds you, value, worth. And it's also a super full moon. So what that means is that it's at its closest point to the earth, so it appears brighter and fuller. Actually, right now, it's kind of cloudy, or not kind of cloudy, it's completely cloudy. Earlier, you could see it better, or it was kind of clear, and then there were some clouds, but you could still see it. It was pretty bright, but now the sky is actually pretty cloudy. I don't know where in the sky it was, or it is. Anywho, I thought while I was out here that, yeah, I don't know, I'd try to make a video. Just because there have been a lot of things surrounding the themes of this full moon that have come up in my last 24 to 28 hours. 24 to 30 hours. I think it's 11 right now. Again, I apologize if it is picking up the traffic. I waited until the train passed, so hopefully, depending on how long this video is, we don't have to deal with that. Oh my god, sorry, it's so hot. 1 second. One moment. Sometimes I can't do things and talk at the same time. Oh, that's good. There we go. There we are. Yeah, so it's been an interesting, actually let's even say 48 hours. Because I've had a lot of conversations in the last 48 hours. I've gotten to talk to some friends, some people who reached out to me to check on me. Oh, I see it now. It's like right there. It's right above me. Yeah, it's really bright because I can see the clouds passing over it. Sorry, distracted. I'm pretty sure that I have like ADHD or some sort of tendencies. I'm quite confident that I'm neurodivergent, but that's for another time. Anywho, yeah, so I've been having a lot of conversations with people because, yeah, people have either been noticing some of my content. I don't think actually these videos, but it seems more so some of my written content. Actually, a little bit of both. Because one of the people that reached out specifically said that they had watched a couple of the videos. And then I had somebody else reach out today that said she had seen some of my posts and read some of them. Yeah, which although I'm pretty good, I'm pretty self-sufficient, especially with me being so introspective and honest with myself, it's not that I need people to reach out to me or like to give me advice or anything like that. It's the sentiment. It's the fact that I am on the minds of other people and they care enough to actually check on me. Because, with all the changes that have gone on in the last 9 or so months, I've really had a shakeup in recognizing who is really there for me. And I think I'm reaching a point where it is now abundantly clear who genuinely cares for me. Oop, train. It might not even be that annoying for you, but for me, I get distracted easily, so it's like I hear the noise and then I get knocked off my train of thought. So I gotta pause. I'm like, oh, I gotta stop. But yeah, it's getting abundantly clear who is there for me genuinely and who is there for me because they expect something of me or out of obligation, if that makes sense. So yeah, it was really nice to have some of those conversations. And then last night I kind of had a falling out with my parents again. Unofficial falling out. So something I've been working through this weekend is my relationship with money. For context, the topic of money in my family has always been a sore spot. Between my parents, it is absolutely their biggest, or the thing that they argue the most about. yeah, I believe when my mom was younger, it appears that she grew up poor, and her moving from the Philippines to Canada was her escaping that, but it just seems that she never fully escaped that mentality, because yeah, money is something that she always worried about. And unfortunately, it seemed that she attracted a partner who just constantly drained her of money, because my dad, even before he met my mom, he just never seemed to have money. He's always been a gambler, and he would constantly borrow money. So yesterday, I actually went over to address this, because yeah, it's something that has been a huge block for me mentally, and I knew it was something that I was supposed to confront. And it's funny, because the night before, I remember I kept shuffling. I was trying to look through the tarot cards. I'm like, why? I'm like, how do I remove this block? Because something that I'm also kind of coming to really understand is that awareness of my issues isn't the same as really confronting it. And there's only so many ways you can confront it. So I meditated on it, and what I was receiving was I had to go to the root of the problem. And originally I thought I was supposed to talk to my mom and be honest about my fears. But when I meditated on it just before leaving the studio, I got that no, the root is actually my dad. Because as much as this is a pain point for my mom that she's carried from her own childhood, my dad is the one reinforcing it for her now. And so I went over and I addressed some specific memories that I had regarding him and how he handled money. I'm not gonna go over everything. But for me, when my trust was really broken was when I was 18. I got my first job as a cashier, and that's when he had started to ask me for money. He borrowed maybe something around $500 or $600, paid it back, but then he would ask again a little bit later, pay it back. So by the third time, I started to recognize what he was doing. What he was doing was he was shuffling the money around, because he would ask me, and then he'd ask somebody else so that he could pay me back. And then, I don't know, maybe he asked me and then pay somebody else back. So I started to realize that it was a revolving door, and I shut it down. There was a point where I was just like, no. Or what is it for, kind of thing. But what really put the nail in the coffin was when I was 23, he asked me to co-sign a $10,000 loan. I actually had considered it because his reasoning why seemed noble. But there was a part of me deep down, my intuition, that said, this is wrong. There's something wrong with this. So I asked my brother for advice. And my brother was immediately like, absolutely not. You should not be co-signing this loan. This makes no sense. If anything, it should be my mom, because she had a more obviously stable full-time job than I did, and it was clear that he was avoiding asking her to avoid the conflict, because, you know, she bails him out all the time. So that actually had created a domino effect, because my brother talked to him, and then some other people got involved, and they had a falling out. They didn't talk for almost a year. And honestly, that he kind of got his karma, because this is about the time where he basically stopped going out, because at the time he was only going outside really to go see my brother. And so the longer he stayed home, not moving his body, his age finally caught up to him, because he was perfectly fine health-wise before then. But train. But after that incident, because they weren't talking for so long, he just kind of stopped, and he stopped moving, which led to him not using his legs, and then his legs slowly went from a limp to other things, and then now he's a double amputee. Now we're getting too far off the topic, but yeah, that was a really prominent time in my life. You know, it was something that really scarred me. Sorry, I missed a part of the story. In addition to him not talking to my brother, he decided that when he was gonna ask my mom to make it a family conversation, so he made me sit in on him basically bullying my mom into co-signing this loan by threatening that we were gonna have to sell the house and stuff, which for my mom is basically her whole pride and joy in being here in Canada is the fact that she has a house here. So yeah, those events really scarred me, and because of that, I kind of took I wouldn't allow anybody to help me, or I really tried to make sure that my money problems were just mine. And yeah, that it was a terrible mentality to have, because that in part actually did show up in my relationship with my marriage, because I just never would talk about my finances. It wasn't ever something that we argued about, but yeah, I don't know, money was weird. We just didn't talk about it. And I think that's something that definitely is important to be honest about. To be honest, it's like you should just be honest about everything within a relationship, especially a marriage. So, you know, that's just like one of the other ways where I guess I didn't have full trust in myself and my partner. Anywho, so I had this conversation with my dad, and in the beginning it seemed like it was going somewhere. He seemed remorseful when he was attentive. He's always been very attentive and receptive when it comes to me expressing myself. And, you know, I did start the conversation making sure that he knew I wasn't trying to attack him or anything. It was just that I needed to address it and get it off my chest. And I did also make a point to let him know that at the end of the day, I still appreciate having him as my dad, because he from my parents was the one who encouraged me to go after my dreams and could recognize my talent or talents. When I was younger, I wanted to be a singer. And then when I was older, when I was dancing, he encouraged that. He was very supportive when I wanted to leave school. So yeah, you know, that in part helped my mindset, because if I had two parents that just didn't believe in creativity and really wanted me to live the traditional life, I probably would still be living it. It would probably be a much different path for me, you know? But yeah, after that, the conversation just kind of went in circles, because yeah, my dad's mentality is very, very backwards. So it was almost as if he was trying to convince me that there wasn't a problem when there is very clearly a problem, and this problem is ongoing. And yeah, it was one of those things where he wouldn't really take accountability, and he was kind of trying to talk his way out of saying that there wasn't a problem. And you know, he would say a couple things that clearly alluded to why he has the problem. Like, one of the things he had said was, what's the use of money if you're not going to spend it? And I've heard this from other people before. There's this person that I follow. His name is Reverend Ike. I believe he's passed now, but there's a YouTube video that has a lot of his sermons, and he talks a lot about money being an energy, and to watch how you talk about money. So for example, you shouldn't say that you spend money or you use money, because yeah, money is an energy and money doesn't like that. You should say that you circulate it, because when you circulate it, that means it's coming back to you. So a good way to think about that is when you make investments, when you put money aside for it to grow, or for example, if for me now, running a business, you invest in certain things like marketing, or in people who can add value. Because when you do that, then the money comes back to you multiplied. Check him out, he's really good. So yeah, there was a point where I started to see that that conversation wasn't going anywhere, or at least it wasn't going anywhere I wanted. And I had to accept that I already got what I needed, which was to release the burden by addressing it, and to understand for myself why why my mentality is different from his, even though it seems like I might be in the same position, so to speak. I'm not. I'm far from the kind of hole he has dug for himself. But anyways, I left the room and I was emotional, reasonably. My mom was in the dining room, and I just kind of sat down, and I was just kind of just trying to collect myself. I wasn't fully crying, but I had a couple tears. And then my mom started to talk about how, oh, why do I come here? And I know she's stressed out with work and my dad, and she's upset because, or it pains her because I don't want to be in the house. But you know, it's okay because do whatever I want as long as it makes me happy. And I was literally like, what the fuck? I was like, I am just sitting here crying. I don't understand. But yeah, that last part about me not wanting to be in the house, I was like, you know why? And I reiterated my boundaries. And then she started to flip it on me, and how it basically it's my fault, and I should come and help more if I want it a certain way, and all this stuff. And then she started to walk away from me, and she went over to my dad, and she's like, oh, she comes here and she's blaming me. And you know, usually when this happens, this is usually where I would start arguing with her. And my mom is the only person that I am ever reactive with. I'm, for the most part, a very, very reasonable person. If anything, I usually fold. I don't typically get into yelling matches with anybody except for her. But this time, because I was already emotional, I just started getting more emotional. And it was just clear that she was just uncomfortable with me being emotional, because at another point, she just hugged me to kind of try to get me to shut up and stop crying. And I was like, no, like this isn't okay. And then I was just like, I really can't do this. I really can't be here. And then she started talking about my therapist and whether I thought about seeing him again, which to that point I was already done with the conversation. But yeah, I was out the door as she was saying that, because yeah, I was literally like, what the, I think I was like, what the hell kind of response? Because again, mind you, I was just being emotional, and it had nothing to do with her. But she made it about her, and then she made it my problem. Like I was somehow attacking her. And I guess I'm relaying this because what I'm realizing from the whole interaction is about generational trauma and worth. Basically, that I've been shouldering the karma of my parents for way too long, and I've now really come to a point where I truly understand how my mentality is different. And unfortunately, if I want to keep my peace, if I want to change this pattern, if I want to break the generational curse. At least for now, I have to distance myself. And this isn't the first time that I've tried to do this. I don't even remember. I know I made an audio recording about it, but I don't think I ended up posting it. It was basically around this. It was right after, actually, I left my job. But yeah, I had thought that we were making some progress, so I went from no contact to low contact, and I was still seeing them at least once a week, but at least for now, I think I'm going to stop, because kind of like originally, when I had made the decision originally, it was understanding that I can't change my parents' energy. And even though I know how I should be thinking and what I believe, being around their energy, I absorb it. No matter how hard I try. And this is true for any person. You know, I think there is a way that you can be around certain people and not reflect that energy, I guess. I don't know exactly how. But no, actually, no. Sorry. Sitting here with me as I work out this thought. Well, I think honestly, it really depends on the amount of time you spend with people. So I think in regards to my parents, especially because partially lived there, or I was partially living there, so I'm spending a great deal of time. And at least what I was finding when it came to my mom was I couldn't really escape the negativity, in the sense that I tried to just straight up ignore it, or I would engage in a conversation where I'd try to challenge how she's thinking, and you know, it would end up in some sort of fight, or I would literally just dissociate and just not be present. And it happens so often that, yeah, it's like that's not how I want to show up. I don't want to feel like I can't have a conversation with her, or like, yeah, I don't want to have to fight so hard to block an energy, if that makes sense. So I had to decide today, I decided in that moment when I left yesterday, that at least for now, or at least until I actually see some change, that I have to be firm about my boundaries, and I gotta put me first. And all I can hope for them is that eventually they'll want to change for themselves, because this is the thing when it comes to other people, and I'm pretty sure I've mentioned this in some other video, because it's just so kind of such a theme in my life, I guess, because I'm a people pleaser, or I was a people pleaser. But it's the notion that you can't make someone change if they don't want to. You can't help somebody who doesn't want to be helped. you know how I started thinking of the analogy of how when someone's drowning and they're panicking, and then you go out to save them, they'll just drown you too, basically, is I believe the notion. But the other analogy that I often use is you can lead a horse to water, but you can't force it to drink. And yeah, this is a reoccurring pattern that's been in my life where I almost sacrifice myself to try to save people. And I think part of that comes from me feeling abandoned as a kid, even though I wasn't actually abandoned. You know, I got to grow up with both parents, but my parents were, what's the term? Socially absent? Busy parents? It's like they were there, but they weren't emotionally there. Or yeah, like they're always so caught up in their own stuff that socially abandoned, something like that. But yeah, basically the notion is that I had often felt like I was alone and like I was abandoned. I always had a fear of abandonment. And you know, this shows up for a lot of people. It's what creates certain attachment styles. I'm definitely what is it? Avoidant is the other one. It's codependency. It's just because and it happens to a lot of people, because it could be something it doesn't have to be super traumatic, but you know, when you're a baby, and then you can even see it as, you know, when the moms go back to work, it's like that can create that kind of attachment style. Oh, it's gonna bother me that there's a specific person that I watch that talks about this, and I see her in my mind. Watch, I'm gonna think about it later. But yeah, I'm getting over that. I'm moving into the secure attachment now, because I'm secure within myself. But yeah, all that to say, I think that I try not to abandon people, or I try to make people feel like I worry for other people feeling abandoned, so you know, I bend over backwards for them. But what I realized when I left yesterday was that train. Is that a train? Oh, maybe a garbage truck. Apologies. But I realized yesterday that as noble as it is to not want people to feel abandoned, two things. It's not worth it if I have to abandon myself. And the second is, at the end of the day, some people are just determined to make you feel like that you abandoned them. That's specifically for my mom, because it's an interesting thing, because she doesn't put too much effort into the relationship, and she expects me to put all of it in. And no matter how much I do show up for her, it's never enough. And it's like, yeah, I can't reverse that feeling for her. That's something that she has to understand and work through herself. And yeah, it's really tough with older people because, you know, a lot of, as you get older, you get more set in your ways. So for both of them, I can understand why it's so tough for them to try to think differently, you know? But, you know, I never expect that anybody will change overnight, but it's about effort. It's about trying. It's about caring enough about how you show up in the world to want to show up differently. It's about understanding that how you show up in the world reflects how your world is. First Hermetic law, mentalism. What you think about will come about. It's also the law of correspondence. As within, so below. Oh, sorry. As above, so below. As within, so without. It's basically about resonance. This is also where the law of attraction comes into play. I think I've actually mentioned this in this exact way before. Someday I'll make a video about it. Or a course. I don't know. I guess that's like the next part of it is that, or the next part of how the themes of Taurus have been showing up in my life, because I had some meetings today that really showed me how I've been in my own way. And it's funny because obviously I knew this. It's like what I said before. You can know, or you can be aware about something, but that doesn't mean you've confronted it or that you've overcome it. I had an awesome conversation with someone in the morning, and he basically showed me how I'm overthinking everything, and that at the end of the day, I just need to decide what I want to do, and I just need to decide what I want to do and then take action on it. And then I had another meeting with this girl, and that conversation, because I had the other conversation right before, I was mid-conversation, I was starting to see how I was selling myself short, because she was asking me some questions, and I was basically like, oh, I don't know. And then she was starting to get to the point where she was like, okay, you know what, maybe you need to sit with these questions and then we'll come back to it later in the week. And as she was saying that, I started to see exactly what the other conversation had taught me. So in that moment, I was like, no, actually, you know what, I can answer these questions. And then I answered all the questions, and then we moved the conversation forward. And yeah, and then after that, I just took off more. I made a lot of decisions with my business. And it's like there's all these things that I've been working on, and I've been progressing, but I've been kind of dragging my feet because I wasn't fully confident, I guess. Or yeah, there was still a part of me that didn't believe that I could do it. but yeah, those two conversations together just reminded me how much worth I have, how much value I have. It made me look at other times that I've displayed my services and I was met with appreciation, and when I was rewarded for the effort and the quality that I put into work. So yeah, it's kind of crazy because I knew a shift was coming. I could feel it. But yeah, it's one of those things where it's like you really, it comes in a way that you just really don't expect. Yeah, that first conversation, that threw me for a loop, because typically when I have conversations with people where I wanna pick their brain or whatever, I usually ask about their journey and then just kind of try to get a sense of things that I could do. And it's funny because the last few that I've had like that, I kind of come out with nothing, because it's like a lot of people's stories are the same, are very similar to what I'm already doing. So it's like I usually come out of those conversations like, oh yeah, I'm on the right track. And this one I also came out of there with, yes, I'm on the right track, but I got knocked into radically shifting how I think. And it seemed like it was something so simple, but sometimes you just really need somebody to be hard on you. And oh my God, I appreciate it so much. And I think it's because that's the type of person that I am to other people. And yeah, I can totally see, because there were so many times where he was like, I apologize for being harsh and whatever, but yeah, it for me, I was just sitting there like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is exactly what I need, because again, yeah, that's how I communicate. I really I prefer to be direct, and I think I've shut that part of myself down, because yeah, not everybody can take that. A lot of people cannot take that. And I'm really realizing that being that way is very effective for a reason. So yeah, I'm gonna keep being myself now. I'm gonna embrace that part of myself that I've hidden away, that I guess I didn't realize I was doing. Anyways, I think that's all of it. Again, hope you enjoyed it. I hope the traffic didn't bother you too much, and if it did, oh well, sorry. But I mean, if you made it to the end of this video, it couldn't have bothered you that much. Or at least what I'm saying was either interesting or insightful enough to get you to the end. So yeah, it's simpler than what you think. You have all the answers within you. I have all the answers within me. And that's that. So again, thank you. Thank you for listening. Happy super full moon. I hope you enjoyed the fire, even though it's kind of near the end, so it's not really, it's not that big. Ooh! That's correct. But it's funny because I'll probably be out here for at least another hour or two. The logs that I put in, one of them was like damn near tree stumped, I swear to God. Anyways. Alright, I'm gonna get up and turn off the camera now. Bye.